What's up, schoolie lifers, bus lifers? What's up, bus lifers? I'm Zach with Bus Voyage, and today we are talking about 8 things that you should be doing before you start your conversion. This is a list that I am so passionate about because some of these I did and some of these I did not do, but I know that if I did all of these things before I started my conversion, things would just have gone a little bit smoother and saved me a little bit trouble down the line. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So the first thing that you need to do before you start a conversion is call conversion companies. And I am big on this one because even if you're planning on doing it yourself, just like I am, you're not looking to hire a company, calling a conversion company can just answer so many of your questions and give you so many solid ideas of things you might have been unsure about before. And this can range from expected cost of materials, expected timeline, you can get good floor plans. All types of information can be derived by calling some companies and just pick their brains. You know, there's a bunch of them out there, whether you're looking at van conversion companies or bus conversion companies. There are a ton of them out there that will answer your questions. They'll go over whatever you want because they're looking at you as a prospective client, even if you're not. So definitely do that. That right there is tip number 1. Thing number 2 that you need to do before your conversion, and this one might sound obvious, but make sure you have time. And this is one that you've probably already thought about this a little bit. Of course, you need to make sure you have time, but to go a little deeper on this one, what I would say is make sure that you have time that you can schedule on a weekly basis to contribute to your conversion. And I say this because I think contributing a specific amount of time on a weekly basis is a really solid way to make sure that your conversion is consistent and make sure that it gets done in a timely manner. I know with myself, there have been times when I have put 40 hours a week into it for a handful of weeks at a time, and then for a couple weeks I stopped working on it altogether. Whether it be because I had things planned that I wasn't expecting, or because I got lazy or got overwhelmed. Either way, I would try to plan a specific amount of time into your week every week just to keep consistency and make sure that you can accomplish this project. Number 3, the third thing that you need to do before your conversion is run a cost analysis. I say this because it's easy to look at the price of a bus or van conversion and think, oh, you know, I've seen what they're doing this for, I've seen the numbers, I can afford that, and you probably can. But by running a cost analysis, it just makes it a little bit easier to have a really solid idea of what it's going to cost, because I know personally there have been a lot of unexpected costs that I did not see popping up until they were already here, just because I did not go ahead and do this ahead of time. And so the biggest things that I think are important to think about during your cost analysis are the price of the vehicle itself, any maintenance that needs to be done on the vehicle, registration and insurance fees, and then on top of that, with the actual conversion, you're gonna find that the electrical system can be pretty expensive. Large appliances like refrigerators, microwaves, things like that. And then also finishing touches like counters, tiles for bathrooms, maybe mattresses, couches, things like that. Those can also add up. And just adding those in ahead of time can really give you a much better understanding of what you're actually looking to pay. On top of that, you have all your little things like 2x4s add up, nails and screws add up. And so it's a really good idea just to take care of that ahead of time and make sure you have an accurate estimate. Number 4, look at all conversion options. And when I say this, what I'm talking about is compare buses, vans, box trucks, trailers, all different kinds of things. I know a lot of people jump on the vans, and nothing against it. I love vans and I think van conversions are beautiful. But I think there's a lot of good options out there, and vans aren't necessarily the perfect option for everybody. I think everyone kind of has their own vehicle or own situation which works best for them. And I think it's worth looking into the different options out there to make sure you find the one that's right for you. The one that fits your lifestyle, the amount of room you need, the cost, and a number of other factors. So I definitely recommend looking into this. And on top of that, if this is something that you would like to learn more about, drop a comment below and maybe we'll make a video on this. Number 5, think about the seasons. And what I'm talking about here is mainly think about times during the year where it will be too hot or too cold or just bad weather like snow or other things that could prevent you from potentially working on your conversion. So I know for myself, I started my conversion in the summer in Arizona where it was much too hot to be working outside. So I moved up to Utah where I had a friend with some land that let me keep my bus there. Now this was awesome for a few months, but once winter came around, again, this became a problem. So definitely think about seasons. Maybe just, waiting till the right time of year could potentially save you a lot of hassle and make your conversion a lot easier. Number 6. So on top of the season, you also need to be thinking about where you'll actually convert it. And the reason I say this is because converting a bus or a van is a big project, and it's something that will be loud and it will be messy and there will be a lot going on, and it really helps to have space to do this. Space in a couple of ways. One, space to spread out, have your tools, have just stuff sprawled out. On top of that, it helps to have space away from neighbors because you're probably gonna be doing a lot of drilling and cutting and sawing and grinding over the next months or even year as your conversion's going on. And not that I've personally had issues with this, but I know some people have had issues with converting in a tight neighborhood where neighbors are all around you, and neighbors might get a little bit annoyed if you're constantly doing this. So not that it'll hold you back from your conversion, but it's something to think about if you have a place to do it where maybe you have a workshop or a warehouse or just a little bit of land where you can park your vehicle and not have to worry about neighbors. This can be a huge bonus and something to think about for sure. Number 7. The 7th thing to do before you start your conversion is to actually start living the lifestyle ahead of time. And I think this is such an important one. And I did this to some degree before my conversion, and I've started doing it more throughout the process as I've been converting. But what I mean by this is start trying to do things and living in a way that will mirror the lifestyle that you'll live when you're in your van or your bus. And the reason for this is when you're living in a van or a bus, it is a very small amount of room that will kind of conform you to a specific lifestyle. And it can be a little bit of a shock if you've never lived this way before. For example, maybe cooking in certain ways, or storing your clothing in certain ways, or using the bathroom in certain ways that maybe you're not used to. And so by doing this ahead of time, it can help normalize you to the lifestyle and just prepare you a little bit and even make sure this is the right lifestyle for you. And so for a couple examples, things that I have done in my personal life in order to prepare myself for this lifestyle include packing my clothes more efficiently. I started using packing cubes, and I've started storing all my clothes, even though I have plenty of room in my closet, storing it in a much tighter space just to prepare myself for when I do have less space. On top of this, I've also started using a one pot for all of my cooking needs, as this is what I'm planning on using once I'm living in the bus. And so by doing this, it just gets me used to cooking with this and not relying so much on an oven, which I won't have access to, or other various cooking methods which I might not have access to in the bus. I haven't started yet, but I am planning on, once my toilet is done being built, getting to use that a little bit just so I get used to that method of using the bathroom. Just so, once again, I'm a little bit more used to it once I get into the bus. And number 8. So the final thing that you need to be doing before you start your conversion is make a plan. And this sounds redundant. This sounds like, of course you need a plan. But I guess it wasn't so obvious to me before I started mine. And what I mean by this is just be as thorough as you can beforehand. And it might seem like it's taking a lot of time up front, but trust me, you will save so much time down the road if you just make a solid plan beforehand. Personally, I had never really taken on a project of this size, and although I was confident I could do it, I didn't necessarily take the most optimal route to completing the bus. And so I think looking back, if I were to do this again, I would start off by outlining every sub-project that needs to be done to complete my conversion. And this would include things like insulation, electrical, the bathroom, the bed, the kitchen. On top of that, it can include things like flooring, installing max fans, really any project that's going to be a part of your conversion. Create that as a sub-project ahead of time. Now, you're not gonna know all the details. You're not gonna need to, learn the entirety of wiring your electrical system before you even start the conversion. But it'll help just to know what sub-projects you have ahead of you, how long you think they're gonna take, maybe the estimated cost behind them, what skills you're gonna need to learn, and maybe just a general overview of each. This way, when you do get to those projects, you won't feel completely overwhelmed, or you won't get to a point where you don't even know what the next project is. Instead, you'll always have an idea of the overarching project, what smaller projects exist within that overarching project, and where you're at in the process. And I think if you do this ahead of time, it will just save you so much time down the road. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed 8 things that you should be doing before you start your conversion. If you have other things that you think are important to do before starting a conversion, go ahead and drop a comment below and we can add those to the list. Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for new videos every Thursday.
And if you want to learn more about the bus conversion process, or you just enjoy watching us do it, feel free to watch some more of our videos, over here, or over here. That felt pretty good.